Bobby Torres of Frightbox Recording here to tell you why you're recording too many tracks. Probably. Now, we all want bigger, fuller, meatier, meaner sounding mixes, but the truth is that higher track counts do not necessarily equate to bigger sounding mixes. Now, if I were to tell you that I didn't fall into this trap myself, I would be a complete hypocrite. I struggled with this for a very long time, and it wasn't until years of experiences and working alongside other mix engineers that I finally see the light and realize that I should be ruthless with what tracks I have in my mix. And if I can help anyone skip over this all too common mixing trap, mission accomplished. Now, as an engineer that does a ton of mixing on projects that I did not record myself, I see the problem of unnecessary high track counts happening really in three key areas, and I want to cover them right now for you. Key area number one, too many vocal tracks. Now, I'm not saying that you should only record 1 or 2 or 3 vocal tracks. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is if you're going to record additional vocal tracks, make sure they have a purpose and a place in your mix. In other words, don't triple, quadruple, or have 10 vocal tracks all doing the same things for no reason at all. If you double or triple your vocals and decide you want to add a 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th layer all doing the same things, it's not going to make your vocal any thicker than when you had it double or even triple tracked. The other common problem I see is the complete inverse of what I just mentioned, where people will record a bunch of vocal tracks all doing different things throughout the entire song. Again, remember, you do not want to clutter your mix or your production and confuse the listener. Remember, the listener can only focus on so much at once, and humans are most drawn to the human voice. Now, because we're recording in our computers, we could have a million tracks if we wanted to, and that's not necessarily a good thing. In my opinion, the limitations of the analog days actually helped in this department because engineers had to commit and really be picky with what was existing within their production. And in my opinion, you should adopt some of that approach even within the digital realm. So this leads me to common problem number 2 as far as high track counts are concerned. Too many microphones on your guitar cab, or just recording too many guitar tracks in general. First, let me talk about the microphones on the guitar cab. Remember, if you have a great tone dialed in at the source, there's no reason to use more than 1 or 2 mics. Now, I'm not saying that you should never break this rule or you should never use more than 2 microphones on a guitar cab. Just keep in mind that if you're not happy with your guitar sound, adding additional microphones is not going to make your guitar tone any better. I follow a simple rule of thumb. I try to nail my guitar tone with 1 microphone. Once I know that I've got that guitar tone nailed, I'll add in a second one if I feel like it. But I want to know that my tone is solid and can exist with a single microphone. Ever since I started following this simple approach, I've never had trouble capturing guitar tones ever again. Mainly because this keeps me focused and really picky on tracking day instead of trying to make up for a weak guitar sound by recording 100 mics at once. And I also see this problem with guitar tracks in general, very similar to vocal tracks. People tend to go crazy with guitar tracking in the digital domain. Now again, because we can record as many tracks as we want doesn't necessarily mean that we should. If you're gonna keep adding guitar layers, always ask yourself if it's helping your production and helping the sound of your mix. And this leads me to common problem number 3, just too many overdubs in general. Again, because our computers can all handle such a high volume of tracks, it doesn't mean you need to record a million tracks to make your production sound huge. I see this happening, like I previously mentioned, with vocals, guitars. I also see this happening with people recording way too many virtual instruments, too many background elements that really aren't helping the song or the production as a whole. Just a lot of arbitrary tracks existing within productions that just shouldn't be there. Now, this has become more of a problem within the past 10 or 15 years because with home recording, we can get carried away and just overdo the track counts. And the funny thing is, if you ever watch interviews with some big time mix engineers, they'll all mention how the first thing they do when they listen to a rough mix is decide what tracks they're gonna delete and not use in the mix. And I know this firsthand. I experienced it myself on a near daily basis. So remember, if you're at home recording your own music, I highly advise being ruthless and really picking and choosing what tracks should exist within your song. If you're aiming for a bigger sound, remember, adding additional tracks isn't necessarily going to get you there. A lot of times it just comes down to choosing the right source sound in the first place. So for example, 6 guitar layers on a rhythm guitar track is not going to sound any bigger than a nice, tight, doubled guitar performance. There is a point of diminishing returns. Now again, this is something that I struggled with, and I wasted a lot of time and a lot of energy trying to make up for my lackluster productions by overdoing the track counts, and I always ended up in a mess of tracks that I just didn't need to record in the first place. And I don't want that for you. I want you to skip over all the crap that I went through so you can get right to producing awesome sounding productions. If you found this video helpful, like, comment, subscribe, and share. And don't forget to click the little bell icon in order to be notified every time I upload weekly videos on all things metal and rock production. You can both like and follow me on Facebook and Instagram. Links are in the description below. And be sure to download my 5-step guide for producing better heavy mixes with the gear you already have. There is a link below, right within this video's description. Again, I want you to be producing awesome sounding productions right out of your home studio, and this guide will help you get there. Till next time, happy mixing.